صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the series of the Seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. I hope you learned a lot from our last episode about the early prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Today we'll be learning about a sermon he delivered on Mount Safa. Don't worry if you're not sure what this is yet, as we will discuss it more. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Let us begin. First, see what you remember from the last episode. Do you remember the name of the angel that visited the Prophet in the cave Hira? Yes, it was Angel Jibreel alayhi salam. Do you remember what the angel said to Muhammad? Excellent! He told him to read Iqra. You may recall that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was illiterate. This means he did not know how to read or write, but this didn't stop him from spreading the word of Islam across the land. In the Prophet's time, there was no technology that we are used to today, such as computers and mobile phones, televisions, or the internet. So what do you think was the best way to spread this news in those days? You could send information on paper or deliver it to people's houses. But remember, the Prophet ﷺ could not write, and most people who lived in that time couldn't read or write either. So what is the next best way to spread Islam? If you said word of mouth or by giving a speech, you're correct. This is exactly what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did. A sermon is a religious speech given to the people in order to teach them and advise them. One day, 2 years after the events in the cave of Hira, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went to Mount Safa to deliver a sermon. Mount Safa is a small mountain in the center of Mecca, and in fact, you can see this today. The Prophet Muhammad called out for his tribesmen to come. When they arrived, he said to them, "If I tell you that beyond this mountain there is an army which is going to invade you, will you believe it to be true or untrue?" All the tribesmen responded, "We will believe it to be true, since you always speak the truth." The Prophet ﷺ then said, "I tell you that the army of death is after you. I warn you of the wrath of Allah. I am His Prophet. You should accept this as true and believe it from now on. Stop worshipping idols. Worship only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obey His commands. Reject bad actions and turn away from them so that you can reach heaven." But when the tribesmen heard this, they became very angry. They did worship idols and even kept some of them in the holy Kaaba, and taking care of them was their way of earning a living. And now the Prophet was asking them to give it all up. They were very unhappy. From among the crowd, Abu Lahab, the Prophet's uncle, called out aloud, "O Muhammad, have you called us here only for this?" He was trying to say that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was wasting their time. Following this, many of the tribesmen deserted the Prophet and therefore rejected the teachings of Islam. And not only this, but from that day on, they started to taunt the Prophet and make his life miserable. Now you can see that even though he was a prophet, he did not have an easy life. We will learn more about this in the future, inshallah. See you soon.
صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.